let you know, this was the people before they were attacked with eating. So this Prince, he was 27 inches tall, 250 pounds, so he's bigger, 47 pounds than most men in the French tribe. This is Thunder. He was also 2 years old. They were brothers, 27 inches tall, about 220 pounds. Straight all over our neighborhood who's been running, and they're not the only pack. There's many, many, many packs. And I don't know, something's got to be done with it. I know that several people have come up here and asked that we have some type of animal control. You know, there's not a leash law in Saline County. That something be done. This is going to be somebody's child eventually. It's only a matter of time before it happens. Like you see some other pictures. For y'all that have kids in here, you may want to remove your kids. They're not nice pictures to see. This was Prince when we got into the vet's office. As you can see, the majority of his backside has been eaten out. This is a 225-pound horse. It kicks, it rears, it bites, and 4 dogs ready to take it down and kill it. He lasted less than 9 hours before he wanted to shot and died. We don't have any pictures of Thunder because I was so distraught. I had hair, I had blood in my hair, I had blood on my face, I had blood covering my clothes. Thunder, my husband and I had to pick up together to keep us back away from falling out. Because I had literally eaten him. This is the side of Prince. You can see where the bite marks are. That either before or after, I guess they figured out that they couldn't eat him. So once again, a 260-pound horse, and a kid is not going to be able to stand this. It's not going to happen. This is where they've eaten their insides out. And this thing. This was protruding out so much going into the vet's office. I had to load these animals in my mom's minivan. I had to hold his gut inside to get him there because every time he moved, they came out of the side. This one was lucky enough to last from Thursday morning until Friday afternoon, and the minute I got in the stall, I knelt down after the vet had called us. He died with his head and arms. This too is what I had to keep in from coming out. Something has got to be done about the dog. It's got to. I've got an 11-year-old at home. Had he not been at summer camp, I know. There's no telling what would happen. I mean, we walked out to find the dog eating the horses. One time he came after me. And had it not been for my husband going back in and getting a gun and shooting at him, I guess I would have been fighting off too. This is over his neck where they put in the IV to try and save him. We tried. The picture at the bottom is after he died, and he was slumped up against the side of the jaw. I had my husband pull him away, so he would actually just lay there and not be in a hump. Please, I ask you, something has got to be done about the dog. It's got to. You know, I'm trying to start a family with my husband. We've got a baby due 3 houses down from us. I've got a 4-year-old next door. I've got an 11-year-old. I'm a leader of a Boy Scout troop. I have Boy Scouts running in my pasture 2 times out of the month. You know, the last one, these are only some of the blankets that were covered in blood. The back of my mother's minivan, as hard as we tried, was covered in blood. I was covered in blood. My husband was covered in blood. I had to get Q-tips to wash the blood out of my phone. It's not just people who dump their dogs and let them run. It's even the people who own the dogs. There's a lady responsible for these dogs who admitted that she feeds and she allows them to stay on her property. It's not just the stray dogs. It's people who are irresponsible and who won't do anything about their animals.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, but what you just said,
There is a lady who has admitted that she feeds the dogs and she allows them to stay on her property. She feels sorry for them. According to the vicious dog ordinance, she's fed them, she's allowed them to stay there. The night that the first one died, I talked to Mr. Walters and was told that he knew for over a year. Actually, that's how I found out who owned the dog, was because the neighbor of Mr. Walters. And, you know, found out that he knew for at least a year she'd had the dogs. These are not just stray animals. They're not just wild dogs that people have dumped off. These are even people's dogs. And eventually, you know, are my horses enough to get something done? Does it have to be my child? Does it have to be my neighbor's child? Does it have to be our new baby? You know, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Walters, what side of the fence do you sit on this? Because you seem to be straddling right down the middle. You know, you told us that Ms. Griffin owned the dog. You then got the chief deputy to call me to try and get this taken care of, and then you helped her file a complaint against the detective in charge of researching the case, which...
I didn't have her file anything.
You didn't call down?
hey, we are not here to...
I just want to know what side of the fence he sits on. He's the JP for our district, and, you know, do you help the people who are putting fences up for the horses to keep them in, or help the people who allow their dogs to run and kill things? So
even if we built an animal shelter, that wouldn't have saved yours because you said those animals belong to somebody, so we can't. Nobody
Even if
can put
it's
those dogs in somebody in an animal shelter.
if they're running loose,
You can't just go, no. I mean,
there
that's
are
not what our animal shelter
These
is.
dogs had attacked prior to this. I'm Jennifer's mother.
this is
These
the
dogs
fifth time that we know of.
killed other
But then y'all
animals
should
in
call
the
the sheriff's office.
Okay,
That doesn't have anything to do with the animal shelter that we've been talking about. You have to call the sheriff's office.
it does, and the sheriff's office has been called, and they direct everybody to the Humane Society.
And the Humane Society directs y'all to, I know.
They can only hold so many.
See, even the animal shelter that we was talking about doing, if we could find funding, I don't think there's anybody on this court that would say that they're not for it, if we could find funding. But even the project we was looking at does not cover somebody going out to get their animals. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, maybe that's something that y'all need to look at. What is it gonna take? Is it gonna take a kid losing their life to do this?
Well, I worked at the Sheriff's Department for 12 years, and I was a sergeant there. I know the problem that's there, but it's not just in one area, it's widespread. And, for instance, Bryant's got 4 animal control officers. They're taking in, you know, several dogs a day. The county itself, it would be astronomical. Where does the money come from to fund a project like this?
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
What about vicious animal laws? What about unrestrained animal laws? These dogs apparently, according to law, belong to this woman. So wouldn't you think that she would be held in some sort of accountable fashion for allowing these dogs that she feeds to, knowing that they're bad dogs, and they've already been issues with these dogs with other neighbors in that area? How is she held accountable for that? If I had a dog, if I had a big dog that came over and ate your dog and bit your kid on the way out of the yard, what would happen? I mean, how is she held accountable?
Let me ask you a question though. This is an older lady that has her own dog, that, like she said, when the dogs first started coming around, she would put dog food out for her dogs. They would come and they would eat her dog's dog food, so her dogs would eat. No, wait. So she put out enough food so that they would not fight. To me, that does not make those dogs her dogs. You know, that does not make them her
I
dogs.
disagree. I think if she feeds
Well,
these dogs on a regular basis, they become her dogs.
Ms. Regan, she
Let me
has a small
stop
insight.
right here. We're not here to debate. We can't answer that question for you. Just Bruce cannot answer that question, what you're asking now.
But if Saline County had a leash law or some kind of ordinance that made people keep their dogs on their own property, that wouldn't have happened. These horses wouldn't have been killed.
But you still have to have a way to enforce the law.
But
And
you
you
have
still
to- How would you enforce it if that had been a child?
Ma'am, I don't know.
Really, seriously, what if that had been somebody's kid, or that old lady,
It's
or?
going to happen,
What if
people.
it's
Call
been
the
a
sheriff's
person?
office and they would come out and they would catch the dog and they would
Okay,
kill
there
it.
would be a law, there would be some sort of process to handle that had it been a person. But the fact that it's personal property and being a horse or another pet, then what? You're just out of luck? Or, I mean, what, something needs to be into place for that.
Now, we were told at the first or the second public hearing that we had over the animal shelter, Chief Bill Fields was there with the sheriff's office. And the lady that was attacked, I think that had a scar down her legs and had pictures of it and everything, she asked him, what do I do when they come back around? And he said, if it is a life or death situation, they would come out and pick up the dog. Whether they had a shelter to take it to or whatever, if it is a life or death situation, they would come out and pick up the dog.
If
So,
you can take
that's
this
fine.
dog who's just killed your horses and hand it to them, they will come out and pick up the dog. They will not hunt the dog down. And you must know this lady to be saying this stuff.
No, I
She
don't.
has one inside dog. She has a dachshund that is inside. These other dogs, she feeds table scraps. She doesn't have trash pickup. She feeds them table scraps, and she throws out the food and gives them dog food. They are her dogs. She has admitted that they are her dogs by her feeding them and allowing them to stay there for apparently years. And people aside, it doesn't matter whether or not somebody owns a dog or if the dog flew down from somewhere. There's dogs out there who are killing. And I hope to God you don't have any children that are going to be running around outside that gets bit by one of them or taken down like this. I hope it doesn't happen to you. Because let me tell you something, having to hold the horse, to hold its leg on so it doesn't fall off, is not fun. Huh? No, it wasn't.
Jennifer, you got anything else?
I would just ask that y'all please think about this. Y'all think about your grandkids that are running around, thinking about your kids that are running around. But something's got to be done. It's going to be a kid. Y'all know about it. Y'all have known about it. It's going to be a kid, and some parent is going to be standing up here with pictures of their kid's body. Something has got to be done. Please.
And then what do you do when it's killed? I never did get an answer to that. Really, what would you do if it were a child? If this had been a child, what would somebody's report in Saline County have? These are dogs that this lady doesn't claim, but they're really hers. And they do this, something horrible to a child, a person. Then what would, if this had been her child, what would she do? Would she have any reports against that woman?
If it would have been my child, would y'all do something? If it would have been my child who was torn limb for limb, would y'all finally do something?
If it had been her that the dog came back on and Bobby had to shoot, would you do something?
And
I mean,
we are not here to
We
answer
are.
these questions.
We are, and we're who you represent.
Y'all enforce the ordinances. You vote on the rules. You vote where the county money goes to. You vote on whether or not there's a leash law.
Can I say something?
Yes.
At one time, you mentioned that you had over $300,000 in an emergency fund. Why can you not look at that again as using part of that to get some kind of a shelter started? Because the dogs that killed her animals, yeah, they did belong to somebody, but there are hundreds more out there that don't, and they're just looking for something to attack. And it is going to be a child pretty soon.
Ms. Luther, a lot of that money that we were talking about using, we've had 3 tornadoes within the county that we're probably going to use a large amount of that for social building in that.
But at what point are you going to put this in high top priority? When some child comes up dead, are you going to do it then? You're going to wait for that? I would think that would take top priority. We're talking about a child's life.
That's what it's gonna end up being.
But what
That's
I'm
pretty
saying is,
important.
if we had the animal shelter built right now,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have stopped that, and it wouldn't be a.
It is a
It
start.
wouldn't
It
stop
might
it,
not
but it
have
might
stopped
stop
that
the other
one.
one.
Hold it, please. One at a time, please.
Ma'am, did you see the dogs attack her?
Yes.
Couldn't they be stopped? Do you have a gun?
Yes,
If that had my livestock, I'd kill the dog.
my husband came back in to get a gun.
Whenever you walk out to feed your horses, where it's I did, and you notice the dog's eating on your horse, you run back in the house to get the gun, and then when you come out, the dogs run off.
Who's gonna go catch those dogs and take them down to the animal shelter? I wouldn't wanna
Well,
try to catch a dog that's
That's kind of backs
attacking
it up
horses.
just a little bit
You
to
need to,
making
you need to take care of the
owners
problem.
responsible.
No one
You have a leash law that is
is falling on that.
May I say this, that this quorum court cannot take an action on anything in this meeting tonight. Everything that would go will have to go back through a committee meeting.
I understand that.
And I would encourage you to come to that committee meeting and call my office when that happens. Then, some of these questions that you're asking can probably be answered at that time. At this time, you're asking us to do something we cannot do in this meeting right here.
I'm asking you to think about it. I'm asking you not to
Okay.
push it aside like it's been done before, because you're gonna keep pushing, and you're gonna keep pushing, and you're gonna keep pushing, and eventually that child is gonna die.
The reason those funds got pushed back is because of those 3 tornadoes that we've had. If we had not had that money in there, what would we be looking at for the residents?
Well, how
And
long
their
has it been
families.
pushed
But we
aside?
keep coming down here asking for something to be done for 10 years.
Mr. Luther,
Year to date, as of today, how much money is in our emergency fund?
today, a little over 600,000.
Growing all the time, and last
Interest,
time, the last report I had, it was 300,000.
no, it was,
Definitely 500, 5,000.
yeah.
How much reimbursement are you getting from the FEMA and all the rest of it?
FEMA, we're getting 75% reimbursement on what we're
And
spending.
what do you constitute as an emergency? We don't know how many tornadoes are gonna hit Saline County, but there's a whole lot more dogs out there, and there'll be tornadoes this year, I guarantee you that.
Biting somebody.
I'll tell you something else. You guys want to do things that make you look good, get your name in the paper, and all this. That's what you want. Your main goal is to get reelected. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's your main goal if you guys would tell the truth one time. What's gonna happen is, like these ladies have stated, when a little kid comes up dead, when the media gets a hold of that, you good old boys are gonna look real bad.
Anybody else have anything? Yes.
I'd just like to ask, where is the animal control issue? I know that came up several months ago, and I know, I think there was a letter circulated or something asking the judge what their opinion was on what they were gonna do. What is the status of that right now?
Where's the animal shelter right now? I think it's on the whole looking to see how much money's gonna end up being spent on these 3 disasters that were declared in the county. We will not know the final bill of that probably for another, till the end of the summer. We're still working, doing repairs on the roads. As I say, when we get a little closer to the end of the summer, we'll know how much that will be.
And also, I just wanna let you know, I'll be happy to mail you all a letter if you want, telling you how many animals we're taking for each of the districts. I know everybody says, oh, and you may say, never taken an animal, and we took in over 100 in the past 60 days. And, you know, we've got to have something done. Like I told you several months ago, it's something in kitten season. I turned away at least 200 in the past week. So we would really appreciate y'all starting to look at that kind of serious.
Okay. Any other comments? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.